I called Zelensky, and they said, he's in South Africa. I said, what the hell is he doing in South Africa?
He was talking to us.
We got this paper. I said, that's a strange one. I said, what are you doing in South Africa?
Yes.
That's a strange one.
He's trying to make peace.
This is my video update on this Thursday afternoon, May the 22nd, coming to you from Limassol, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news. So the other day I was filming at this church, and now one of our Telegram subscribers told me that I was just a few meters away from the original church of the prophet of Elias. So we will go over there in a bit. But before we make our way to the very old, or what is left of the very old early church of the prophet of Elias, here in Limassol, Cyprus, we have some breaking news to get to. And this is coming from Romania. The Constitutional Court of Romania has rejected the appeal of George Simeon. So what if the founder, CEO, owner of Telegram says that the chief of French intelligence told him to meddle in the elections? Who cares? We are not going to annul these elections in Romania. Our guy, Lieutenant Dan, he won the elections fair and square, going from 20% to 54% in a matter of weeks. Sorry, Simeon, there will be no annulment. Completely expected. Absolutely, completely expected. Simeon posted earlier in the day. I believe this was posted before the decision of the Constitutional Court. He said, "My mission has always been to ensure and safeguard democracy for the Romanian people, something I feel that they have never truly had. While I'm target of latest attempt of this injustice, I refuse to play the victim. I will fight, fight, fight to make Romania great again." So when I read this post from Simeon, and I read the last sentence, "I will fight, fight, fight to make Romania great again," I knew that this wasn't a serious post. Sorry, everybody in Romania. Sorry, George Simeon, but come on, man. Here we go again. Fight, fight, fight. Make Romania great again. Okay. Make Romania great again. Make Cyprus great again. Make Greece great again. Make Belgium great again. I don't know. Make Germany great again. Okay, we get it. We get it. Enough of this. Let's make our country great again. That's Trump's. that's his slogan. That's his marketing genius right there. Make America great again. There's no need for every country to use it, to be quite honest, and then to say fight, fight, fight. I wasn't taking this post serious from Simeon. My hunch is that he knew that the Constitutional Court would annul this. I'm sure that Pavel Durov also knew that his efforts to challenge the election was going to be annulled. So he said, I'll come and testify, knowing that there's going to be no testifying going on in Romania. They knew it. They knew that this would not get annulled. They knew it. But they put it out there. I think this was more of a political play. That's just my opinion on this. That's it. I think that's it for the Romanian election saga. It is Lieutenant Dan, Nicoșor Dan. So anyway, that's the breaking news. My thoughts on it. Fight, fight, fight. Let's make Romania great again. Let's make Cyprus great again. Let's make this tree great again. All right. The big news from yesterday, very big news from yesterday, was the White House meeting between Trump, U.S. President Trump, and Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa. Everyone is talking about this Oval Office meeting between the two leaders. Politico has an article with the title, "Trump puts South Africa's president on the defensive over unproven genocide claims." The president offered videos and images to support his allegations that white farmers are being systematically targeted. And RT ran with the title, "Trump confronts South African leader over white genocide." In single quotes, President Cyril Ramaphosa pushed back against his U.S. counterpart's allegations during a tense Oval Office meeting. Boy, was it tense. Boy, was it tense. It wasn't all tense, actually. There were some moments where the two of them were actually discussing and kind of joking around. For example, one of the moments where they were both laughing was when they were talking about Zelensky being in South Africa, and Trump said, "I gave him a call and I told him, 'Where the hell are you?' He's in South Africa." "I'm in South Africa," he told me. I'm like, "South Africa? What the hell are you doing in South Africa?" Anyway, there was that exchange that took place. And Trump was asked about the G8, the G7 and the G8. I believe South Africa, is South Africa going to host the G20, the next G20? I think they are. But he was asked about the G7 and the G8. I think the U.S. is not going to go to the G20 in South Africa. I don't know. I could be getting my story mixed up here. But Trump said that the G7 is not as good as the G8. The G8 was much better. That means that it was better when Russia was part of this group of countries. But Russia was kicked out of the G7, and it became the very much diminished and weakened G7, which is just a collection of collective West countries, a collection of U.S. vassals, I would say. That's pretty much what the G7 has become. So this used to be. So I guess if we look at it from this angle, from this standpoint, this was the early church, or what's left of the early church. Not much left. So that was the good part of the meeting between Trump and Ramaphosa. The rest of it was just a complete mess. Look, you've seen the videos. You've seen what happened. By now, by the time that this video is going up, you've seen everything that's happened between Trump, everything that happened between Trump and Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa obviously blindsided. He was not expecting this. The Trump administration, yeah, they're bringing some stuff to the forefront. Some things that are going on in South Africa. They put it front and center. But I don't know, probably not the best way to do this, in my opinion. I would have imagined, this is just my opinion, but I would have imagined that both teams had prepared for this meeting. I guess not, but one would have thought that they would have prepared for this meeting. And the Ramaphosa team would have been in discussions with the Trump team before the two leaders actually sat down to meet in Washington. And you would have thought that the Trump team would have told the South African team that we want to talk about what's going on with white farmers. You would imagine that they would have told the South African team this so that they could prepare. And you would have thought that the South African team would have engaged with the Trump team to try and put together a detailed agenda as to what was going to be discussed so that they could prepare for these meetings and these negotiations. Because from my understanding of things, this was about South Africa putting together a delegation and going to the United States and talking about trade and business. That was my understanding of the purpose of this trip. But that's not what the Trump administration had in mind when everything went down in the Oval Office. So seems as if there was a lack of preparation, a lack of discussion on all sides, I guess, because usually these types of meetings at the Oval Office, usually everything is pretty much laid out as to what's going to be discussed. Of course, with Trump, things can become unpredictable. Like with Zelensky, for example, the fight with Zelensky, a lot of people are comparing this to what happened with Zelensky when he was at the Oval Office, but I think there's a big difference because everyone knew what Zelensky was in D.C. to do. Everything was already prepared and laid out. Zelensky was going to sign the rare earth minerals deal. That was the plan. And Zelensky then came to D.C. and he started to walk back on the minerals deal, and he started to then get very confrontational with the Trump administration, and he started to get very demanding, and that's when things just spiraled out of control. But that was not planned. This was planned. They had the video ready to roll. They had the articles of the people that had died in South Africa. So they had everything ready to go. So there was absolutely a breakdown, not during the meeting in the Oval Office. There was a breakdown during the meeting in the Oval Office, but all of this stuff should have been ironed out well before the two leaders of these countries met.
What would it take for you to be convinced that there's no white genocide in South Africa?
Well, I can answer that for President. It's for him. No, seriously.
I'd rather have him answer.
Yeah, I'd rather answer that. It will be.
Our president will respond to you.
Yeah, let me.
Thank you, Mr. President.
It will take President Trump listening to the voices of South Africans, some of whom are his good friends, like those who are here. When we have talks between us on around a quiet table, it will take President Trump to listen to them. I'm not going to be repeating what I've been saying. I would say if there was Afrikaner farmer genocide, I can bet you these three gentlemen would not be here, including my Minister of Agriculture. He would not be with me. So it'll take him, President Trump, listening to their stories, to their perspective. That is the answer to your question.
But, Mr. President, I must say that we have, wait. We have thousands of stories talking about it.
Sure.
And we have documentaries, we have news stories, and that. Is Natalie here, somebody here to turn that? I could show you a couple of things, and it has to be responded to.
Yeah, sure.
Let me see the articles, please, if you would, and turn the lights down. Turn the lights down, and just put this on. It's right behind you, Johan.
So Rubio, he was, should we go for a walk? He was testifying to, I want to cross over, but I just don't think I should, right? This is an archaeological site. So Rubio was testifying before, I believe, the House Foreign Services Committee, I want to say. And the other day he was testifying in front of the Senate, and I think this time around he is testifying to the House. And well, you guessed it. Things got out of control. a lot of things are out of control. Yeah, things got way out of control during this testimony from Rubio. A lot of it connected to Project Ukraine, Russia, the negotiations between the Trump administration and Russia. And of course, you had members of the House. They were playing it up. They were playing the part of tough guys. A lot of the House members that were questioning Rubio We're tough guys towards Russia and towards Putin. Why are you not tougher towards Russia and Putin? They are building all kinds of stuff around here. Let's keep on walking. So one of the House members, what's this guy's name? Keating. I don't know where he's from, Keating. He did what was expected. I was waiting for this line of questioning to Rubio because it always comes up when you talk about Russia. And when there's ever any kind of diplomacy with Russia, even the slightest bit of diplomacy with Russia, of course you're going to get this line of questioning. He started to press Rubio. Is Vladimir Putin a war criminal? And Rubio was dodging the question because the United States is in negotiations. They're speaking with Russia. They're trying to normalize relations with Russia, right? And so he was avoiding saying that he's a war criminal, even though I imagine Rubio probably believes or probably wanted to say, yes, he's a war criminal, knowing Rubio, but Trump does not want to say this. And so Rubio was taking the side of his boss, of the US president, rightly so. And he was avoiding saying war criminal, but Keating kept on pressing. He's a war criminal, right? And Rubio's like, well, we're trying to normalize relations with Russia, and he's a war criminal, just say it. And Rubio's like, well, we're actively negotiating with Russia, and yeah, there's a war, and things are difficult and complicated. And he kept on pressing Rubio, just say it, he's a war criminal, say it. And what do you gain if he says it? Like, what's the purpose of all of this? Or you want the Secretary of State to say he's a war criminal? How many times did Blinken use that type of rhetoric, and where did that get us? Where did that get us? Nowhere. Kiwi residents. The Kiwi residents. So, it got us nowhere with Blinken. And Blinken said it just about every other day. Blinken and Biden. They couldn't stop with the war criminal, dictator, thug, dictator, war criminal, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we get it. Tough guys. They're all tough guys, right? Put them in the room with Vladimir Putin and you'll see how Keating and all of these guys would just cower in fear, right? If they were sitting across from the Russian president. They know it. But, Rubio made a good point. Credit where credit is due. Logic. He used logic. And he spoke logic, right? A language that is rarely used in DC nowadays. And Rubio said, look, we're the two big superpowers. Russia is the country that has the most nuclear weapons. We need to talk to them. Whatever our problems and difficulties are, it's crazy to not have dialogue with Russia. This is just logical stuff, man. So that was the correct statement for Rubio to make. And then Ted Lieu. Now, Ted Lieu is, I believe he's a representative. I know he's California. I want to say the North California, San Francisco area. But he challenged Rubio and the Trump administration to defeat Putin on the battlefield. You first, Ted Lieu. That's what I would have said if I was Rubio. I would have said, absolutely, Mr. Lieu, but we'll follow you. Pick up your gun, your rifle, and you go first. And then the entire U.S. military, all of us, will follow your lead. You go, Ted Lieu. Oh, man, just stupid stuff that they say. Stupid, unproductive, ridiculous stuff. And they just say it because they want that sound bite. They want to look tough. Nothing looks better to these people than standing up, playing tough to Vladimir Putin. That's the pinnacle of neolib, neocon coolness. Talking tough to Vladimir Putin when he's 10,000 miles away. That's real tough. Apartments everywhere. Apartments being built everywhere around here. You get your news, you get a real estate tour. What more could you ask for? A lot of news today. So Lavrov, he was in Armenia, and he had a good meeting with Armenia. They're going to continue their relationship, which is a good thing because Pashinyan continuously flirts with dumping Russia, which would be a horrific, terrible mistake. I think now Pashinyan has finally realized that the biggest mistake he can make would be to break off relations with the Russian Federation. Anyway, Lavrov, nice swimming pool, nice flats, man. Nice flats. Lavrov, he commented on Ukraine, and he said this: first a truce, and then we'll see approach will not be possible anymore. First a truce, then we'll see approach is not possible anymore. There will be no unconditional 30-day ceasefire. It is not going to happen. There will be no freeze. There will be no armistice. None of that stuff is going to happen. An interesting quote from Lavrov, and the foreign ministry's legal chief. He put out a statement. The foreign ministry of Russia, their legal chief, put out a statement saying that the people of Ukraine need to choose a new leader to sign a memorandum with Russia. Ukrainian President Zelensky is not suitable for the role of signatory because he has long since lost even internal legitimacy, said Maxim Musikin, director of the legal department of Russia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. What was I saying yesterday, huh? With Medvedev's speech at the St. Petersburg Legal Forum. Yeah, they'll prepare the memorandum, Russia. Ukraine's also going to prepare a memorandum as well for a ceasefire, but the real memorandum is what Russia's going to prepare. The real timeline is what Russia's going to prepare. And once they put that in place and they prepare it, the question then becomes who signs it. That is what the legal chief of the Russian Foreign Ministry is now openly saying. Zelensky has to go. That's his message. So Bloomberg and the Wall Street Journal, they put out some news from their sources familiar with the matter, related to the Trump-Putin phone call. And they're both saying kind of the same thing, but they're giving different takes as to what their sources told them. Trump told the Europeans after he was done speaking with Putin, right? So he speaks with Putin in the morning, DC time. Then he speaks with Zelensky, and then he calls the Europeans without Keir Starmer. And we know why he's not speaking to Keir Starmer, because the Trump White House probably told Trump, you know, given all of the difficulties that Keir Starmer is facing with the fires, and I'll get to that in my clown world, given everything that's going on with these fires connected to Keir Starmer, probably best to keep your distance. So let's not put him on that phone call with the Europeans. Let's kind of phase him out, because it's better to keep your distance from Starmer, given all the rumors that are flying around. But anyway, he called the Europeans. And according to Bloomberg, they say that Trump told the Europeans that he is confident of Russia's victory in Ukraine. So Bloomberg, not a very reliable source when it comes to Project Ukraine. I've been burned by Bloomberg many, many times. Believing Bloomberg has burned me many, 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 many times. But here they are reporting that their sources claim that Trump told the Europeans, Russia's got this. Russia is going to to win this conflict. Now, the Wall Street Journal, which is not a fan of Trump, absolutely despises the Trump administration, not a fan of Putin or Russia either, absolutely supportive of Churchill #2 and of NATO and the Europeans. Their sources say that President Trump told European leaders that Russian President Putin isn't ready to end the Ukraine war because he thinks he is winning, according to 3 people familiar with the conversation. The Wall Street Journal article has the title, "Trump Tells European Leaders in Private That Putin Isn't Ready to End the War." U.S. President made the acknowledgement after speaking to the Russian leader this week, but backed off on additional sanctions. They're very upset about the sanctions. They failed. They failed to get Trump to put sanctions on Russia. And basically the way the Wall Street Journal frames what Trump said is so that the Europeans can then come out with the argument and say, you see, Putin never wanted to negotiate. That's why they word it in this way, so that the Europeans, that's what the article actually says. It actually says that the Europeans, when Trump told them this, that Putin is not interested in ending the war because he thinks he's winning. He doesn't think he's winning. Everyone knows he's winning. Okay, let's start from there. Everyone knows that Putin is winning. You have to be in La La Land, Kaya Kalis, fantasy land to actually think that Russia's not winning. Now, Putin knows he's winning. Trump knows he's winning. Everyone knows he's winning. But they phrase it in this way because what the Europeans are now saying is that Putin was never serious about negotiations, and he's just playing Trump, and he's slow-walking Trump, and all of these things. And you're also getting articles now from publications like, I believe, Foreign Affairs, either Foreign Affairs or Foreign Policy, which are actually claiming, and get this, they're actually claiming that Russia is losing the conflict. They're saying that the momentum has swung now in Ukraine's favor, and that Russia is on the retreat. Just give Zelensky more money and more weapons, and this thing is game over. But you know the narrative. But they're going to say, but then Trump came along, and Putin was buying time, and he bought time, and Trump would not support Ukraine, even though things were swinging in their direction, and they're ready to throw this all on Trump. That's what they're going to do. And now that the Europeans don't have their sanctions, that seems to be the next narrative, the next plan that they're putting together. Putin never wanted peace. He never wanted peace. He was fooling Trump, and Trump fell for it. And Trump let Putin off the hook right at the exact moment when momentum was swinging. Oh man, we had Russia. And then Putin fooled Trump. And he let Russia off the hook. That's exactly the narrative that they're trying to cobble together. You can see it forming already. The Wall Street Journal article, towards the end of the article, they actually claim that the next talks between Russia and Ukraine, I believe with the United States in attendance, is going to occur at the Vatican. I haven't heard any official statements, not from the Trump administration, not from the Kremlin, confirming this. But if it's true, then we may have a venue change from Istanbul to the Vatican. I wasn't so hot on Istanbul, but I understood it. Continuity for Putin. That's where the March 2022 talks took place, and it was important for Putin to show the continuity of the Istanbul talks from 2022 with 2025, because at the end of the day, it is Istanbul Plus that is going to be the last chance for Ukraine and for the collective West. So I understand why Russia went with Istanbul. The Vatican, I don't know. I'm not so comfortable with a meeting at the Vatican. But anyway, it's not confirmed. This is just the Wall Street Journal reporting this. So let's move on. How are we doing on time? Oh man, I gotta wrap this up. I knew it. Too much news to get to today. Okay, let's push forward. The EU, they have approved 150 billion euro defense package. What is Ursula saying? Excellent news. Our defense industrial readiness loan instrument, known as SAFE, has been agreed by member states. Europe is taking greater responsibility for its own defense in an increasingly dangerous world. This means cutting-edge capabilities for our union, for Ukraine, for our continent as a whole. Yeah, what could go wrong? EU member states and non-member states, actually this package, this fund is going to be open to the UK and Ukraine. But what could go wrong? Countries in the EU, the UK, Ukraine, taking out loans to purchase weapons. What could go wrong here? Oh my God, what a disaster this is turning out to be. The EU approved a 150 billion euro debt program called SAFE, Support for Ammunition, Military Financing and European Defense, which allows EU members to leverage low-interest debt to spend on military equipment. Non-EU countries, UK and Ukraine, will be able to participate in the program. About 60%, I think the program says 60% of whatever they purchase, the parts, 60% of the parts have to be manufactured in the UK, and the other 40% or 65 or 35% or 60 and 40%. The other remaining parts of the weapons can be manufactured anywhere. That's the requirement in the SAFE. The SAFE program, the SAFE debt program. What a Orwellian name. They're so good at choosing their names, huh? They're so good at choosing their names. A debt program to purchase weapons. And we're going to call it SAFE, which is wrong because the full name is the Support for Ammunition, Military Financing and European Defense. It should be called the SAMFED, the SAMFED. The SAMFED. That's what it should be called, not SAFE. But it's safe. Everything's safe. What could go wrong? It's safe. We're just going to buy weapons. We're going to buy weapons. Borrow money to buy weapons. Low interest debt. It's low interest. Everything's safe. No worries, EU member states. Don't worry about another debt crisis. Don't worry, Greece, about another debt crisis, or Cyprus, or Ireland, or Portugal, or Spain, or Italy. Don't worry. Everything is safe now. Take out loans. Purchase the weapons. Give them to the Zelensky regime. All is safe. All right. The EU, by the way, has, in the 17th sanctions package, they've pushed through a ban on Russian fertilizers and agricultural products, despite widespread protests from European farmers worried about soaring prices for essential goods. The European Parliament has backed the introduction of new punitive tariffs on imports from Russia. Farmers warn this could drive up costs and deepen the agricultural crisis, but Brussels seems determined to follow its political line, even if European consumers and producers pay the price. Yeah, they don't care about the farmers. They don't care about consumers. They simply do not care if the prices go up. What do they care? Prices go up. Annalena, go this way. Annalena said it best 2.5 years ago, right? She said it best. We don't care what our voters want us to do. We don't care what our voters say. It's not our problem. What did Annalena say during that conference? Doesn't matter what our voters want. We're going to continue to send money to Ukraine. Yeah, she was being honest. She was being honest. All right, I think I can get to my clown world now, and we can wrap this video up. And we're going to go to the UK and to Starmer. A third suspect has been detained. Another Ukrainian. So we have 3 Ukrainians. One of the guys is Ukrainian, Romanian, but anyway, born in Ukraine, he's Ukrainian. but he lived in Romania. So now you have 3 Ukrainians who have been detained, who are suspects in the fires of 2 of Starmer's properties and his car, right? And so these people have now been detained, from what I understand. And the 3rd guy is a bit older. He's not young, but from what I read, he is not a model, but in the fashion industry. Allegedly, if you go by his LinkedIn, he is a private entrepreneur. A private entrepreneur who has a fashion retail business. I believe his LinkedIn says that he studied in Lvov. Yeah, so you have 2 models and 1 fashion business guy, allegedly. The X account of Kit Klarenberg is actually saying that the modeling profile of the one guy has been deleted. The 2nd guy that they caught, the guy that was born in Ukraine and lived in Romania, allegedly he's deleted his I think his LinkedIn profile or his modeling profile. I'm not sure. One sec. I guess his profile on the web. Interesting. Starmer's in trouble, man. Starmer's in trouble, big time. You know what? He got Brexit reversed, right? He got Brexit reversed, so he did what he was put in position to do, and I guess now the powers that be don't really need him anymore, do they? He did his job. Next prime minister, the next guy who's going to probably finish off the reversal of Brexit. So Starmer took it to a point. He needed to get the agreement signed with the EU to begin the process of getting the UK reintegrated into the European Union, to reverse whatever was decided on with Brexit, whatever Boris Johnson managed to do when he was prime minister, whatever, all of the things that took place during Brexit. Starmer pretty much reversed all of that, and now it's time for him to go, I guess. To go. You did your job, Starmer. Now get out of here. I guess that's the message that they're sending him. I don't know. That would be my guess. And one more story. The Russian intel agency, and this is coming from the Russian intel agency. Oh, some shade. They are claiming that the European Union is getting fed up with Kaja Kallas. They regret appointing Kaja Kallas as the foreign minister. This is coming from Russian intel, so keep that in mind. But, you know, there's a lot to support their claims, because I have listened to a couple of speeches in the European Parliament where one of the parliament members was saying that he read Kaja Kallas's book. She wrote a book? Really? Come on, man. Anyway, he said that he read a book that she wrote or something like that, and he said that it wasn't fit for a 5-year-old, something along those lines. That's how bad the book was, that it wasn't to the level of a 5-year-old. And there was another speech where someone compared Kallas's his intellect to that of, I think, of a hamster or something like that. Anyway, I don't know. There's a bunch of parliament members who are now openly bashing Kallas and Kallas's ability and qualifications, knowledge to actually hold the position of European Union foreign minister. Not that Jungle Joseph was any better. Let's be real. Jungle Joseph was, I was going to say, just as bad. We'll see. We'll see. The more that Kallas goes along, she is eclipsing Jungle Joseph, but Jungle Joseph was pretty bad. Anyway, that's the video, everybody. The Duran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop. pick up some merch like what I'm wearing in this video update, there is a link in the description box down below. Take care.